Hey, hello again. I'm glad you could be back with the crew. Today we have a fun show about what's going on between the difference between stock, crypto, tokens, and coins. Somebody came in the chat not long ago and asked me, well, what's the difference between stock and crypto? Also, somebody else commented, which was kind of clever, interesting in itself, was they caught me in my unscripted shows, and I don't have a teleprompter, and no, I don't script any of this, and most of it's really off the top of my head. I called XRP a token. Yeah, boy, don't ever make that mistake again, sir. I'm kind of old school to where back in the day where if it wasn't a coin, Bitcoin, it was kind of all called tokens. I know that's not correct. The correct terminology is if something runs on its own blockchain, it's a coin, okay? If it runs on somebody else's blockchain, such as ERC20 tokens that run off of Ethereum's blockchain, those are called tokens. That's in a nutshell. That's not 100%. I don't want to split hairs about it, but today's show is about the difference between crypto and coins and tokens and stocks. What is the major difference, Alan? Let me backtrack just a little bit and talk about stocks. Stocks took a turn for the worse, and I should have looked it up. I didn't. 2012, 14, 15, somewhere in there, I want to say. There was a hurricane that was going up the East Coast, and it happened to slam right straight into New York City. That hurricane created a massive amounts of flood, and if you guys know where Wall Street is, it's real close to the Hudson Bay and real close to the water. Well, the vault in which they kept all of the stock certificates held by a company called Seed and Company or Corporation. Seed, C-E-D-E, is known for a lot of different things, but they're controlled by a group of people that, yeah, you can imagine the power they wield. What happened that fine day of a nice hurricane, what happened, I think it was called Sandy, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that was the name of the hurricane. It came in and flooded an airtight vault. Now the air can't get in, but the water could. So I don't know, somebody at the guard left the door open. I don't know how that happens, but it sounds shaky to me to begin with. So all the documents, all the certificates that we used to have in our name, and they would actually send it to you, and with a prospectus on it, and it was really formal paperwork. It's really neat stuff. All of that got flooded, and all the ink was ruined, and they were like, well, we don't know if we're going to be able to salvage it, so we're pumping the water out of the room currently, and it caught fire. Now, it was tough for me to understand how a room that was completely flooded 3 or 4 days later caught fire. Evidently, that's what happened. So, if you ask me, it sounds a little shady. A lot shady. A real lot shady. But we're not going there on this show. So, how many shares are there now, Alan? Do we really know? Do we know how many they made extra? Now they're digital. From that day forward, they created digital stock shares. Okay, they got the power. One entity had the power to create this many Apple shares. That's how many there was, I swear. You know, nobody had their finger on the scale. Who knows, right? So, how many rehypothecated shares are there for each stock? And nobody truly and honestly knows. Now, I know somebody does, and there's probably going to be 15 comments, and oh no, they cleared all that up. That's a problem with stock. The other problem with stock is you can write a bond and create a bond and generate money and sell more shares of stock, therefore diluting your company. Back in the day when I was studying to be a stockbroker and aspiring to be involved, there was actually something we had stock to value. That doesn't exist any longer, okay? It just doesn't. These companies are zombies of what they once were. They're ghost corporations. In other words, your stock to loan value used to be, hey, well, If I sold all my assets, I'd be 2.5 times my stock value. That number doesn't even exist anymore because people don't even care to know, because they can just borrow money forever to back up to keep the thing afloat. So the other issue that I have with stocks is employees. And I know almost all of us are employees of major corporations, so I'm not trying to be critical of man or anything like that. But let's talk about overhead when it comes to a corporation. Corporations have the overhead of all the employees, all their benefits, maternity leave, birthday parties in the office, the building, the lights, keeping the lights on, people commuting, people insurance for the building, for the corporation. All of that is, I could go into another 10 minutes long. Let's not go there. That is all overhead. That's all risk. It's all, you need insurance. You have to be covered. Those are all liabilities. Now let's also talk about one more very important thing when we're talking about stock. They're in debt. They create debt. This is why Wall Street and bankers love corporations more than they love currently tokens or coins or crypto companies. Why? Because they have more debt. They have to create more debt. They borrow more. They borrow against the building, against the leverage, against the name of Coca-Cola, against the buildings and the trucks and the employees. All of that is leveraged in a manner of creating more and more indebtedness and indebtedness. Well, you're able to do that because you have all these employees. You have tens of thousands of employees that also are buying a home, creating more debt, borrowing more money. I didn't mean to go too deep into detail on all that stuff, but you get where that's a mess. That's a paperwork mess. So now let's get back down to crypto. Crypto, let's use XRP again, okay? So Ripple is essentially the old school company style of what I'm talking about. They have a building, they have 500 employees, they have patents, they have lights to keep on, they have liabilities. The tokens and or coins, okay, in XRP's case, those coins are free, let's say, of all those liabilities, of all those debts. Okay, that was the beauty of when you ICO'd a coin. Okay, initial coin offering. The beauty of that whole thing was it was two guys or a group of people that got together, and the whole crew got together and they created this great coin that was going to solve this problem, and they put it out there and they sold tokens or coins to sell the idea to the public. And the public decided, well, they created 1 billion of these coins. Those 1 billion coins all pay $1. I'll pay $2. You get the point. Now they have $2 billion of initial coin offering value in a bank. They don't have to borrow. That coin doesn't need to borrow a single penny. They have working capital for the next 50 years, even if their idea doesn't even come to fruition. What an amazing way to do business in the future without the liabilities of employees and problem and overhead. Okay, what are the other benefits? 99% of it's just software. And most of it, once it's got a node running and the thing is clicking on its own, okay, and you have validator nodes just validating the transactions of each block, you're off and down the road. You can build anything you want on that platform. That's the beauty of open source. That's why I don't as much appreciate some of the coins. And although I own them, I love Theta and I love XRP, but they have patents. And I love the idea of open source. Open source is a fantastic concept of playing a game that it benefits all man. A great analogy, okay, this one I like to use a lot. Blockchain, okay, and open source code is a lot like playing poker when everybody can see everybody's cards. It's really hard to BS somebody or bluff somebody about what hand you have when everybody can tell, in Bitcoin's case, every 10 minutes it's audited, everybody can tell who has what, essentially, okay? And the source is completely shared within all the other source. It's a wonderful concept, and it brings exposure and openness to a system and a society about our future that I really love. That's one of my favorite parts, is if we could get open source government, oof, boy, is that even, is that loaded? Just even saying that is like nails on a chalkboard for them, I'm sure. But if we could get a system like that and get it moving and get the momentum from the bottom up, you and I, from the bottom up, believing in that type of a fair accounting, fair trade, there would be no stopping it, in my opinion. This is why I love crypto so much. It's one of the many reasons why I love crypto. It's very difficult to manipulate it by man. It can be. There's many ways they do, and many ways they will try, and so it's not impossible. Okay, obviously, there are some coins where it is impossible at this point, right? So I hope that kind of clears things up as far as the difference between a stock and a crypto. One's a share, one's a token or a coin, okay? It doesn't mean that stocks are going away, but you can now understand why Wall Street loves shares, because shares generates a lot of areas in which they can, say, manipulate, print more, distribute more share, loan against, and create more shares, where you and I know that there's an infinite amount of Bitcoin or XRP or Cardano or whatever your coin or your token is. We know there's this many of them. And we know that the inflation rate is this, because that's how many tokens or coins are distributed, okay, because you're running a staking network. And you're running a node and you're staking your coins, and we know what the distribution rate or the inflation rate annually is to those coins. It's completely predictable, and we know what that number is. That's a sensibility in all of us, that we can go to sleep at night feeling, wow, okay, I know how this works. This mathematically makes sense to me. I don't want to get too deep into the gold precious metal thing here, but that's one of the big issues I have with gold. Okay, how many ounces are there? We have no clue. A bird just about knocked my camera over. We have no clue how many ounces there are. I mean, we haven't even started to mine under the ocean for it. That's 2/3 of the planet is under the ocean. There might be massive reserves of gold under there. Anyway, I don't want to get down that road. That'll be a whole nother show. This was about stock and crypto. I hope you guys got something from it. I received so many great comments, wonderful comments, and this show is already more than I ever anticipated it being. So for that, I thank you all. And I'm talking about doing maybe a live show. So maybe if you could put down below, say I'm on Pacific Standard Time, so on the west coast of the US, maybe put a time or a day of the week that you guys would think would be the best time for you, to where the most of us could link up and hook up for a live show. I know there's so many great live shows out there. I don't want to compete with anybody else who's doing their thing. But yeah, I'm also talking about doing some meetups. I go to San Diego like once a month. If you guys are in the San Diego area, I may be doing some of that. That'd be kind of cool to meet, put a face to the people I'm talking to, and I'm, trying to answer online. I am trying to answer all your questions. I'm sorry if I give short 2 and 3 lines answers to this, but there's 500 in there. And I know a lot of you want a deep dive debate about each, category of. I had one the other day and I felt bad for the guy because it didn't answer his question. Is XRP decentralized? It would take me 2 hours to go over that with you. I hope you understand that. That is so debatable. Yes, it is the short, yes, completely. However, I can take the other side of the argument and I could go on for an hour and tell you why I don't think it is. So I can't answer that in one I can't answer that in one 10-minute video. And I hope you guys get that. So, well, it looks like I'm behind a cloud. So I hope you guys enjoy this content. I'm going to keep bringing it to you. I have different show ideas. I only can get a couple, 2-3 shows in a week. So I hope you guys stick around and enjoy the content, because I want my show to be a little bit different. I know you can get the news and you can get the facts, and I'm not a coder. You could learn about coding. You could get a deeper dive about all of your favorite tokens or coins. I'm not that. I'm the guy who maybe gives you a little bit of breadcrumbs or gives you an idea where it all might be headed, and from a life experience that's been really diverse. I've had an amazing, diverse life, and I'm willing to share it all with you. And like my son says, Dad, you have endless stories about life and people because you care about people and you listen. And that's why I like to answer all your questions in the chat. All right, guys, hope you guys got something from that. I hope it wasn't too long. And with that, I'm out.